Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're building a career here in India, you are going to face one of the biggest questions you'll ever have to answer. And it's a choice that shapes not just your bank account, but your entire lifestyle, your future, and, honestly, your peace of mind.
So let's just get right to it. PSU, government, or private? Which one is actually the right fit for you? Because this isn't a small decision. It has these massive ripple effects down the line. So let's break down exactly what each of these paths looks like to help you figure it out. Okay, first things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. We're really talking about three completely different worlds. Each one has its own set of rules, its own culture, and of course, its own rewards. Let's quickly meet the key players in India's job market.
First up, we have public sector undertakings, PSUs. You've definitely heard of these. They're the huge government-owned corporations that actually operate like commercial businesses. Think of giants like ONGC in the energy sector or BHEL in engineering. And they have these classifications like Maharatna or Navratna, which basically tells you how big and important they are, and, as we'll find out, that status has a direct impact on your salary.
Then you've got your classic government jobs. I mean, these are the absolute pillars of the country's administration. We're talking about everything from the super prestigious Indian Administrative Service, the IAS, all the way to key roles in our biggest national banks. The defining feature here? Everything, and I mean everything, especially your pay, is dictated by official pay commissions. That makes it an incredibly structured and predictable career.
And finally, the private sector. This is the world of big corporate firms and, those scrappy, fast-moving startups. In this world, the market is king. Your success, your salary, even whether you have a job next year, it's all tied directly to how well you perform and how profitable your company is.
All right, let's get to the question that's probably on everyone's mind. The money. Show me the money, right? So how does the paycheck really stack up across these three sectors? I think the difference might actually surprise you.
And wow, right out of the gate, you can see a major difference. Just look at the starting line. A top-tier private sector job, maybe in consulting or finance, can start at 20-30 lakhs per annum, or even higher. Now, compare that to the top PSU and government jobs. They start off really strong, no doubt, in that 15 to 18 lakh range. But that's still a pretty big gap from day one.
But that big starting number doesn't tell the whole story. The way you get paid is fundamentally different. In the public sector, it's a very clear, predictable formula. You get your basic pay, plus a whole bunch of fixed allowances. In the private sector, it's all about CTC, or cost to company. That's a total package that often includes things like performance bonuses and maybe even valuable stock options.
And here, this is where the two paths really start to split apart over time. The private sector is projected to have average annual raises of around 9%. Meanwhile, in the public sector, you're looking at a fixed increment, much closer to 3%. Now, that might not sound like a huge deal, but trust me, over a decade or two, that difference compounds into a massive gap in your earnings.
So here's the real takeaway when it comes to pay. PSUs, they offer a very, very competitive start. But as this point makes clear, those salaries tend to flatten out. There's a ceiling on how much you can earn. In the private sector, well, for the top performers, that ceiling is much, much higher.
But of course, a career isn't just about the money, is it? What about that safety net? How much do you really value job security? Because when we start looking at this factor, the whole story completely flips on its head.
This slide really lays out the fundamental trade-off perfectly. On one side, you have the almost ironclad security of a government or PSU job. We're talking guaranteed tenure, fixed service rules, and a very, very low risk of ever being laid off. And on the other side, the private sector, which is all about performance and what the market is doing. Your job is really only as secure as your last performance review and the company's bottom line.
And this right here, this is really the core promise of a public sector career. While private companies might be forced to downsize when the economy gets shaky, a PSU job is built for stability. And for a lot of people, being insulated from that kind of volatility provides an incredible amount of peace of mind.
Okay, so let's shift gears and talk ambition. How fast do you want to climb that ladder? Because the speed of your career progression looks completely different depending on which door you decide to walk through. This timeline really puts the two different clocks side by side. I mean, just look at the private sector path. A real high performer can make that jump from an associate to a manager in just 2 or 3 years. Now look over at the government path. Getting to a senior role like a district collector is a very structured but much, much longer journey. We're talking over a decade. It's that classic choice. Do you want speed or do you want predictability? So, after looking at all this, the pay, the security, the promotions, what should you actually do? Let's try and boil this down into some clear, actionable advice, whether you're just starting out or you're already well into your career.
Okay, if you're a fresh graduate, listen up, because your first move really matters. If your #1 priority is making big money and growing fast, the private sector is definitely calling your name. But if what you crave is that deep sense of security, then landing a government or PSU job early on is a total game changer. You know, a really popular strategy is to try and do both. Start out in a private job to get some good experience, build up your skills, while you study for those public sector exams on the side. Now, for all of you who are already in the workforce, the story's a bit different. Trying to switch into a PSU or a government job mid-career is, frankly, incredibly difficult. You're up against rigid pay scales, strict age limits, and just a general lack of lateral entry points. And even if you could make the switch, you'd most likely have to take a major pay cut. So the crucial takeaway here is this: if you want that public sector stability, you really need to make your move early in your career. And in the end, it all comes down to this one single question. Do you want the stability of a well-defined, secure path, or do you want the speed of a high-risk, high-reward climb? There is no right answer here. There's only the one that's right for you. So what will define your career?